In this video, I talked to Danny Carlson, who is explaining how Amazon product listing works together with the PPC campaigns. He gives us some tips how you can improve your Amazon listing conversions through images and other things. And before you start watching these tips, don't forget to subscribe below to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik and click the notification bell as well, because here we talk with different Amazon industry experts, Amazon software creators, and also with event organizers for Amazon sellers. Hello, Danny. So could you please introduce yourself and tell us how do you help Amazon sellers?
Hi, Gustas. My name is Danny Carlson. I live here in Bali, but originally from Vancouver, BC, and my company is called Kenji ROI. So we specialize specifically in Amazon listing optimization and PPC management. So for our clients, we do the entire listing, all the product photography, A+ content, video, and copywriting and keywords, and then match that together with Amazon pay-per-click. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here, how those two work together and why they really should work together to be the most effective, but really just enjoying life over here in Bali.
Well, is there a big community in Bali of Amazon sellers or people who do the similar what you do?
There is quite a good one. There's a pretty good core group that just lives in Bali, and there's an even larger group that is in Bali seasonally. A lot of people who live over in the US or Canada that live in a cold part of the US and Canada and come over here for 3 to 6 months out of the year. There's lots of digital nomad type people that they hop back and forth between Thailand and Bali just to get around the visa rules and stuff like that, because Thailand gets pretty strict. But our average Amazon seller meetups are 15 to 20 people over here in Bali. So it's alive and strong.
Nice. And let's jump into the topic which you're passionate about. So you told me you see sometimes nice, interesting observations between listing optimization and PPC, how to combine these two things. So can you share some tips with the audience of Orange Klik?
Absolutely. So when it comes to Amazon PPC, a lot of people forget about the variable of making your listing more effective. So tip number one, I would say pay attention to your click-through rates and conversion rates on your listing themselves, because no matter how good you optimize your Amazon PPC, if your listing conversion rate or click-through rates are not well optimized, you're just going to be spending way more money than you need to. And the most effective way to bring your ACoS down is to increase your conversion rate and your click-through rates, right? So obviously reviews are a really big factor in that. I'm not saying you should go manipulate reviews. That's kind of sketchy, so I don't recommend doing that. But what you can manipulate is the quality of your listing. So the easiest, quickest win is with the one main image. Your images are the biggest thing that affect the conversion rate of your listing, and especially your main image is going to drastically affect your click-through rate of your listing. So just think about it this way. If you're bidding on a really competitive keyword in Amazon pay-per-click, and your product is showing up at the top of the search results, and your main image of your product looks crappy, it just doesn't stand out compared to everyone else on there, way less people are going to click on that ad. Or if the rest of the images on your listing suck, someone clicks on your ad, Amazon takes your money for that click, and then the person does not convert to a sale. You got to remember that on every single Amazon product detail page, there is on average 27 different other products. There's sponsored products related to this item, frequently bought together, customers who view this item also viewed. There's something like 15 or 20 different modules that Amazon puts on the listings to try to redirect customers to the product they're most likely to buy, right? So that's tip number one. And to dive into that, just to really put an actionable item into that, optimize just your one single main image. That is the biggest single thing you can do to impact your click-through rates and conversion rates right away with minimal effort. I would recommend just getting a product photographer to take, for example, you have a product with 3 different pieces. You have product packaging, the box, you have the product, and then you have the accessory. Get your product photographer to take a separate picture of each one of those from the same angle, all from one angle, and then maybe all 3 items separately from a different angle. And that allows you to go into Photoshop later or hire a graphic designer to go into Photoshop and rearrange them in any number of different arrangements. If you if you take it all in one photo, you lose the ability to create multiple variations and to really make it perfect, right? So think about the example of, let's say you have a 10 pack of an item and you put all 10 items and then you take a picture of all 10 items just all in one picture. They're never going to be perfectly lined up. They're going to be kind of off from each other. It just doesn't look as good, but it's incredibly easy to just duplicate the item 10 times, and Photoshop has, a way to make it all perfectly evenly spaced and it all looks amazing, right? So that's tip number one. And then once you've gotten, I'd say 3 to 6 different variants is good, depending on how hardcore you want to split test. Once you got 3 to 6 really good variants, then go get a graphic reflection effect added onto there. So you should pay someone to do clipping path. That's basically a fancy term for background removal, and replace it with a pure white background, and then add the graphic reflection effect onto that. And that really just makes it pop out on that pure white background on Amazon. So if you do those 2 things and you had a good photographer that knows what they're doing with lighting and everything like that, you're really going to stand out from the vast majority of the people on page 1 for your search results. So that is the first one there.
Yeah, it's nice. I wanted to comment on the background removal software. I'm using probably several times a week at clippingmagic.com. It costs maybe $5 a month, and you can remove backgrounds from 15 images per month, and it's very nice program. You can have background removed and shadow made with that software within like probably 5 minutes. So it's easy to make yourself as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And really, like, there's tons of different services out there. Like Clipping Path India is one where you can just pay them to do a professional job on like really complex photos, and they'll clip out the background and put a reflection effect on it for like $2 per image or something like that. So if you're doing this yourself, you're paying yourself $2 for every one of those images. Good luck, and good luck making $1 million paying yourself $2 every time. And so the second thing I'd really recommend is when it comes to keywords. So it's a very common thing. There's some main keywords that you're trying to get your pay-per-click ads to show up for, but Amazon is not giving you any traffic for them, right? You're like, hey, I know these keywords get a lot of search volume and my product is super relevant to them, but Amazon's just not showing me up for them. And a large percentage of those people are not really tracking the indexing and ranking of their keywords. So if you're not tracking which keywords are indexing for your listing, you lose all your power to do anything about it. So that would be the number one thing I would check, is go use a software like Helium 10 is an example. They have a keyword rank tracker and an index checker, and just double check that you're actually indexing on Amazon for that phrase. Because if you're not indexing, Amazon will not show your ad for that keyword. And if it really is a really high volume keyword and you've done your research correctly, then that one keyword could be thousands of dollars per month. So it's worth it to go in and do those only for your top keywords, right? But one caveat I will say is people get a little bit obsessed and a little bit crazy with this sometimes. Really, you want to be focused on, don't go too in-depth past your top 10 keywords when it comes to this. The vast majority of your sales are going to come from 10 different keywords. So it takes a lot of time to really go in and fix this kind of stuff. Make sure your top 10 keywords are sorted out. And then, really anything past that is probably better spent on launching new products or some other kind of marketing strategies. But so easy, actionable way to do that. Go set up some kind of keyword rank tracker for your top 10 keywords, and then double check that your top 10 phrases are indexing on the product on Amazon. And if they're not, then go through a really simple indexing check. You take that keyword and you're going to move it to 1 or 2 other places in your listing. If it's in your bullet points, then go stick it in your product description and your search terms field in the back end. And then wait for, usually within 15 minutes, but sometimes 24 hours, and check it again. If it's still not showing up, then try moving it to a different field again. If it's still not doing that after the second time, I would recommend getting a sale through that keyword somehow, right? Do this in a way that, Amazon is not going to penalize you. Don't get your mom to go buy it when she's logged into the same Wi-Fi at your house and it's, easily trackable, right? Find some other creative way, maybe run a Facebook ad or, get someone in a different country to purchase that product through that specific keyword search. And then hopefully you will get the algorithm going with that. Or like the most related keyword search that you are actually indexing for. right? Amazon's algorithms sometimes just need a little bit of coaxing to show that your product is correct. And really, if that's not working, then Amazon's algorithm probably is confused by your product. You've probably been doing a lot of keyword stuffing and trying to put a lot of keywords that are not really relevant to your product in your listing. So go through your listing and see if there are keywords maybe for unrelated products or accessory products that you thought you're being really smart by adding those into the listing to try to rank for those, but really you just confused Amazon's algorithm and it thinks that your product is something else. So if you go and do those two big things that I mentioned, that's really the 80-20 principle of getting your PPC campaigns to perform better. Obviously, you can get a lot more nerdy than that, but if you go through that process with your top performing products, guaranteed your ACoS is going to go down, your Amazon PPC is going to be more effective, and also just your organic products are going to be more effective and convert better and everything. It's a win-win-win situation.
Yeah, great. Thanks for these tips. Do you have anything else from your experience to share? Or it was the last one?
I mean, I wouldn't really recommend too much beyond that. You can get really nerdy with this stuff if you really go into it, but I also am a proponent for just doing what is the most effective. And I think that if you focus on those two things for your top products and then just keep focusing on systematically doing that on a regular basis, you're going to win, right? And if you really optimize everything, then go take the same principles and go and optimize the rest of your images. You got your main image good, then maybe you want to beef up your images with some lifestyle images with a model or some graphic design images with some fancy zoom in bubbles and showing the sizing information and stuff like that. So it really is a continuous process. And you want to be doing this with your top performing products, right? If you're spending all this time just super optimizing all of the rest of the images on a product that's not performing, that's probably a waste of your time and money. It should be a step-by-step process. You get your listing up and, it should be good to start with, but if it starts to perform really good, then it's worth it for you to go in and optimize that further. If it is not performing good and you can't get it to work, then focus on optimizing only the main image because that increases your click-through rate. But if it's not getting better, there's no point in going and optimizing the rest of your images because no one's going to see the rest of the images if they don't click on your listing, right? So just use a little bit of your reasoning to determine where your time and energy should be going, because at the end of the day, as an Amazon seller, there's 1 million places that your energy could be going.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of clients, right? Helping them to optimize the listings and do the PPC. Is it correct?
That's correct. Yeah, at Kenji ROI, we work with our clients for PPC management and actually creating the Amazon listings, product photography, just everything that's on the Amazon page.
Okay. At the moment in the industry, there are a lot of specialists like you, and I wanted to ask, when people come to you, do they sometimes complain that, oh, they were to a similar specialist before and it was messed up? And if it happens when they come to you after someone else messed up the listing, I wanted to ask you, do you see any kind of common mistakes other optimization and PPC specialists are doing, which you have to fix later? Have you experienced something like that?
Yeah, we experience that quite often. I would say actually the majority of the cases are something like that. Usually the biggest common mistake that I see is switching strategies way too often. So it's really common to have clients that come in and they, download a search term report, and I look into how they have their campaign set up, and I see that within a 12-month period, they have basically tried to go through 4 or 5 or even 6 different strategies, right? They didn't stick with one long enough to really actually make it work or see if it works. They run something for a month and they realize oh, okay, this isn't working. And so they shut it all down. They watch a new webinar for some new PPC gurus methods and they go and try that and they set it up and it doesn't work. So that's by far the biggest situation I see is shiny object syndrome, basically, and not just really understanding the PPC fundamentals and then just trusting that those fundamentals are going to work and sticking with it and optimizing it. It's a long-term game. Unlike, Facebook ads, you can get Facebook ads blasting within a week of optimizing and then start scaling it up really fast if it works, right? Amazon PPC is not really like that. it's a long-term game to really go through the optimizations and get everything working.
Yeah, cool. So if people want to talk to you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I would say just reach out to us at kenjiroi.com there. Phil, he is our client success manager. He's really knowledgeable on this stuff and can point you in the right direction. Or I'm pretty active on social media. You can find me, Danny Carlson, on LinkedIn or Facebook. Or if you wanted to see all of my acro yoga photos of lifting people up over my head in Bali in like weird acrobatic positions, you can follow me on Instagram, danny.k.carlson.
Cool. We'll put these links below this video. And thank you, Danny, for this interview, and good luck in your business. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Augustus, and take care.
I do hope you enjoyed this short video with Danny. Don't forget to subscribe below to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik and click the notification bell as well, because here we talk to different Amazon experts and Amazon software creators, as well as with event organizers.